As Central Ohio grows, the state's largest school district is bracing for fewer resources. This week in Boomtown, see where hundreds of jobs could be cut. Plus, officials say emergency services are at risk as rising property taxes squeeze homeowners. Coming up, New Township fears that it won't be able to keep up with some of the shrinking tax base. And a new fight against a massive data center in Ashville, where neighbors say the cost to their way of life is far too high. Central Ohio is certainly booming. We all see it and we all can feel it. So here's what we uncovered this week in Boomtown. It is a bit of an up and down week for Central Ohio when it comes to growth, from concerns about data centers to a plan that could relieve your property taxes. Thanks for joining us for This Week in Boomtown. I'm Angela Ann. Let's start with some headlines. We all know sports is big business in Boomtown, and this week we learned the Columbus Crew is close to finalizing a deal to rename its stadium. The club saying naming rights with Lower.com has come to an end, but the partnership, they say, will evolve. Well, this week, families in Plain City will have to wait just a little longer to see if the school district will add classrooms to its growing landscape. Jonathan Alder Local Schools announced a mandatory recount is now needed since the school bond vote in November won by only 3 votes. And Ohio Senator John Husted stopping by Columbus State to see how the new Pell Grant expansion will impact job training. Starting next year, Pell Grants can be used for shorter certification programs like healthcare and auto tech. Senator Husted says this could be a real game changer for Ohio's workforce, so people don't start out so much in debt. Meantime, the state is setting aside $13.5 million in public transit funding to help connect Ohioans to jobs and remove transportation barriers. This money will be used to connect residents to economically significant employment centers, also bridge service gaps between rural and urban transit authorities. Plus, it'll help enhance mobility for residents in areas with limited or no public transit access. Well, Gahanna's Creekside District is about to get a major overhaul. Just look at this. This is the space we're talking about. And there are some new renderings of what City Council approved just this week. And you can see that that place will soon look far different. A development to deal to create hundreds of new apartments, plus new restaurants, a hotel, parking space, and some new space for retail. Comes with a hefty price tag, though, around $100 million. If planning goes well, construction could get underway in 2027 and breathe new life back to this once popular part of Gahanna. Closer to downtown Columbus now, an important milestone for construction of the Merchant Building. The final steel beam was set in place just this week, marking the topping out of the 32-story building. It'll soon become a new landmark for downtown Columbus. Now, when it's done, this project will reshape the city skyline. The building sits right next to the North Market and expected to open late next year. We do have more affordable housing coming to Columbus. Mirasit Development broke ground just this week on a new project. It'll soon become the site of a new model home in Northeast Columbus, right by Mock Road and Brentnell Avenue. Developers say this is the first of many that will bring a range of price points to help bring families back to this area and help revitalize it. The first home expected to be ready by next spring.
To be able to start building homes again at a time when Columbus needs people to build homes, in this community especially, is exciting, it's important, and it is first and foremost God's work. So I'm happy to be a part of it.
Mirasit has spent the past 20 years working to revitalize the Mock Road corridor, transforming some of the blighted properties into new homes, jobs, schools, and also spaces as growth continues around the region. Well, Columbus leaders this week held a growth strategy meeting to figure out where and how growth should happen. They received feedback from the community on the next phase of zoning. That's the city's plan to modernize its zoning code. And this is what a Southside area commissioner who said she was speaking as a resident had to say.
I anticipate the changes in the city planning policies on Columbus's south side to allow existing residential neighborhoods to retain their neighborhood character while allowing for an increased variety of housing on the secondary commercial corridors and within areas previously designated for manufacturing. This will provide more amenities and access to jobs, expanding economic development. It will allow infrastructure investments to be made in a more focused and efficient manner. It will guide growth appropriately to the benefit of Columbus's South Side.
Well, in a region that is growing faster than ever, Columbus City Schools is facing a future of shrinking resources. The district is now weighing nearly 450 staffing cuts to help close a $50 million budget gap. The proposed cuts include 54 jobs in administration, 275 jobs including teachers and counselors, and 116 jobs in transportation, food service, and security. All of these would save $41 million, which is a good chunk of that deficit. The district is also considering ending high school busing and even closing some schools. Those are cuts CCS Superintendent Angela Chapman says may be needed as state funding declines. And now with every option on the table, parents and educators tell us they're worried about the future of Ohio's largest school district. Here's Carly Dion with more on what they had to say.
How much further do we need to go?
The burden of $50 million in cuts is weighing on everyone in the Columbus City Schools community.
Here we are having to make things worse before possibly it gets better, and we don't even know if that's going to be the case.
From staffing or transportation cuts to the consolidation and closure of buildings, CCS parent Charles Ferguson says there is no right choice.
I mean, imagine already dealing with hunger issues and the 2 out of 3 meals of the day come from your school. But with closing schools and eliminating people, now you don't have that access.
Thursday night's discussion about staffing included a proposal of $41 million in cuts to personnel across the district, equaling 445 jobs. But Superintendent Dr. Angela Chapman says there is a way to minimize that impact.
There is lots of opportunity for us to make some decisions in the operations space that would minimize the impact on positions.
Ferguson says it's the educators keeping his children in the district.
Why would I take my son away from true educators that want him to be the absolute best he can be?
Fears over a reduction in staff leading to bigger class sizes has Ferguson concerned about the impact it could have. But Chapman says that won't happen.
Regardless of any of the changes we make around lottery, transportation, school closures, or staff reductions, we will still uphold and honor our class size commitments that we've agreed to in our negotiated agreements.
These cuts, something everyone wants a chance to voice their opinion on. And Columbus Education Association President John Coniglio says they deserve to be heard.
This is our tax dollars. This isn't their tax dollars. This is our community. These are our schools. And so parents need to have a voice in that.
Carly, thank you for that. Now, these cuts were front and center at this week's Columbus School Board meeting, where members pressed the superintendent for more answers. Now, we also asked the CCS board president, Michael Cole, if he feels board members will be ready to vote on those options come December 2nd.
You heard us ask those questions about the quality of education and how that could be impacted, and then the quantity aspect of it in terms of cost. At the end of the day, we've got heavy lifting ahead of us, but I think that we'll be well equipped to make that decision, those set of decisions.
Major property tax reform passing through the Ohio State House, basically ending the practice of tax increases without a vote of the people. This week, the Senate voted on Ohio's new property tax bills. The bills are called House Bills 129, 186, 309, and 335. These would prevent tax hikes that residents don't get to vote on. They'll also give budget commissions the authority to adjust or lower taxes and keep school district property taxes in line with inflation.
I think that those bills are incredible in the sense of they're going to have a real impact to get us back to those taxpayer protections where values go up does not equate automatically to increased taxes. And so that protects taxpayers.
So we're saying that we're giving people property tax relief, but it's really coming out of school districts by reform around the 20 mil floor, cities, townships, and counties when we're looking at inside millage. I think the net effect of this is going to be just a lot more levies next year.
So two sides of the coin there, but lawmakers say this will save Ohio's property taxpayers $2 billion over 3 years as the full force of the changes take effect. But that may not help some parts of Central Ohio where they are seeing its property tax base shrinking. Much of Franklin Township has been annexed into Columbus, and earlier this month, voters narrowly approved a levy to keep their only fire station open. As 10 Investigates' Rochelle Aline shows us now, residents may soon face another vote as growth takes over.
Tucked in the middle of New is an old standout, known not just for its burgers, but also for being one of the last properties on this section of Trabue Road that hasn't changed hands from Franklin Township to the city of Columbus. It's a visual representation of the realities of annexation all across the township.
I feel.
Which leads us here to township leaders breathing a sigh of relief after passing a temporary levy. It comes after several others failed and a fire station had to be closed, all while the township grapples with a shrinking tax base.
We were never so close as losing not just the fire station, but our identity as Franklin Township.
But trustee John Fleshman says the celebration has been short-lived. That's because the temporary levy that passed on election night will only keep the lights on at the fire station on Sullivan Avenue for a few years. In order to reopen the other station on Frank Road, they'd need to pass something bigger. Here's what he's proposing.
We have Franklin County levies. We can have a new levy that says Franklin Township wide. If this levy passes, this goes away forever. You have one levy. The caveat is anyone that has annexed property from Franklin Township into the city of Columbus since 2004 will pay also.
If I've been annexed to Columbus or wherever, how is it fair that I have to pay this levy?
How is that fair to me that because you benefited, I now have to pay more, my neighbors have to pay more?
It's a levy proposal that's failed before. Those voting against it tell 10 TV they're worried about how much this will raise their taxes. But Fleshman is confident with education this time around, they can lock in a township-wide levy permanently. The question now is when.
Do you want to wait a year, 6 months? Any idea on that?
To me, as a representative, sooner is better than waiting a longer time.
In Columbus, Rochelle Aline, 10 TV News.
We're worried about our kids and we're worried about our seniors and the potential health implications that a data center structure as big as this could have.
I don't know that we could ever stop if we wanted to stop them from building on it.
There are some growing concerns this week in Pickaway County. People are demanding more transparency about a data center that is planned for Ashville. 10 TV's Carla Rogner went there to find out why tensions are so high about this project.
Behind me is 680 acres of farmland that the company EdgeConX wants to turn into a data center. Village leaders say this could bring major financial benefits to this small town, but neighbors are not convinced.
Lucy, Lemon, come on. Get it!
Michelle Havens loves living in the country where her dogs Lucy and Lemon can run free.
Come on, Lemon! Oh, they love it. We take walks back to the pond and, we live out here in the summer. We are never inside.
But her backyard is right next to the field where EdgeConX wants to build its new data center.
Close enough that we could throw a rock at. What are the health impacts? I don't think anyone knows, and we don't have any real clear answers.
Those are answers Asheville Village Administrator Bert Klein is trying to track down.
If it's safe for the environment, if it's safe for the people, then yes, I'm for it.
And how can you determine that?
Well, I have to figure out what they emit, because it's gas fired, which is supposed to be green energy. The only way to know for sure is history, and unfortunately there's not a lot of history with these things.
Klein says the project could bring major financial benefits and could save taxpayers from paying for a major project to repair storm and sewer systems.
This project is supposed to cost about in the neighborhood of $35 million, and they have agreed to fund it.
He says the company has also offered to contribute millions to the schools and local emergency services.
It will take a burden off of a lot of people if it comes into town financially.
Want to go see the chickens? Let's go see the chickens. Come on.
Havens lives just outside the village, so she says she won't see any of that financial benefit. While Klein says it's unlikely, she's holding on to hope that plans will change.
I'm sickened by all of it. We moved out here and we love it. So the thought of that just...
Village leaders say construction could start here as soon as next spring. They say the company wants the data center up and running by 2027. Reporting in Asheville, Carla Rogner, 10 TV News.
Carla, thank you. Now, the dissension against data centers isn't just in Asheville. Hilliard is also dealing with conflict over a proposed fuel cell project for an Amazon data center there. Residents oppose the plan due to safety and environmental concerns. And despite a state law that bypasses city approval, Hilliard is pursuing legal options now to challenge the Ohio EPA's decision and stop the project. Amazon told 10 TV its fuel cells are a safe and clean energy solution, and they will provide training for local first responders. And we leave you now with a moment of pride for Ohio. Take a look. Governor Mike DeWine designated the state's 17th state scenic river right here called Scioto Brush Creek. 25.1 river miles running from the Adams-Scioto County line to the creek's confluence with the Scioto River. Now protected as our state continues to grow and boom with development. The governor himself explaining why it's important to protect our most precious resources.
There's just nothing more important. We're blessed in Ohio with great water that we use to drink and canoe in and do all kinds of things, fish. It's I think, our obligation to preserve it.
Preserving as we grow. Well, if you have questions related to Central Ohio's rapid growth, we would love to hear from you. Simply text 614-460-3345. And if you're watching us on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe. You can always drop your questions right there in the comments section as well. We do want to thank you for watching This Week in Boomtown. I'm Angela Ann. We'll see you again next week.